What's going on, everybody? Hope you're doing well. It has been a while since we did a video just about the T3i, and I have been shooting with my T3i quite a bit here recently. At the beginning of this year, I said that I wasn't going to buy any more cameras, and I kind of failed on that front. I'm still shooting with my T3i like I said I was going to do. I'm still using it as my main camera for the most part. And in this video, I want to talk about the gear that I'm using and show you guys how I put my T3i kit together. Let's get right into it. So the Canon T3i might be the best cheap camera for YouTube right now. These things are getting really close to selling for $100 on eBay. And you get a mic jack, you get a swivel screen, and even though this camera is a pretty old camera, you can still shoot 1080 video at 24 frames per second and 30 frames per second. The T3i doesn't have in-body image stabilization, and one of the ways you can make your footage a little bit smoother for little to no effort is just make it heavier. And while the battery life on the T3i is not that bad, I think having double the battery life is even better. And with a battery grip on there, it's going to make that camera a little bit heavier and a little more stable for B-roll and just normal shooting. To install a battery grip, all you've got to do is remove the factory battery door. You really just have to pry it out really slightly like that. You can then hide your Canon battery door right here inside of the grip. Fits in there really nicely. Don't have to worry about losing it. And then just install your battery grip, tighten this screw down. And now I've got a much bigger and a much heavier camera thanks to one of these battery grips. You can pick these up used for 15 bucks. That's what I paid for this one. It's an off brand. And then I've just added a Swiss Arca plate on the bottom. And that's how I use this. I turn the shutter off right here so that none of the controls work. And it pretty much just doubles as a handle and a weight on the bottom of this camera. I'm not a big user of camera straps, but I do like to have something around my wrist in case I ever drop my camera. And I'm just using one of these cheap Amazon lanyard wrist straps. These things are $7. I just cut the little felt pieces off the bottom. I install it on the right side. That's normally the way I use this camera the most. Really cheap piece of gear. And now if I drop my camera, as long as I have this around my wrist, I'm not going to drop it and destroy the lens or break the camera. And here recently, I've got some new tripods, and I've been using those quite a bit. But still, the one that I use with my T3i setup is this Small Rig tabletop tripod. This thing is made out of metal. It's a really heavy-duty tripod. This thing has suffered a ton of abuse. You've got a locking ball head, you've got a Swiss Arca top plate, and then you've also got a really smooth hand feature right there. And I use this thing a lot for B-roll, especially for panning shots. It's kind of hard to get smooth tilts with this ball head, and it's one of the more versatile pieces of gear that I own. This thing is a must-have in my opinion. And the lens that I have been using the most has been this Canon 10-18, which we're about to switch over to because my camera kit's getting kind of big. But a few months ago, I picked up another lens that I have been using more than the 10-18. But I'm going to go ahead and slap this on the 80D because I think this is one of the best lenses you can buy for the EFS system. But the lens that I have been using the most has been the Sigma 18-35. Really sharp lens. The T3i produces really soft footage, and I think it's best to lean into that footage and then try to find the sharpest lens that you can. Kind of creates a unique look that a lot of people go for now with diffusion filters or fading their footage or adjusting their black point. You can get that just with an old camera and a lens. Now this lens was about 400 bucks. That's about what you can pick them up for used. That is about 4 times what the camera body costs, but if you do pick up one of these lenses, you can use it pretty much forever. The last one that I had, I sold, and then that has been one of the only camera things that I have sold that I wish I would have kept was the one before this. But this is a really heavy lens, so it makes this kit really front heavy. So our T3i body is getting a little bit out of control with its size. But one of the big pros with the T3i is that mic port. Now I have been using the Takstar SGC 598 for years now at this point. And this one is working great. It's not the best sounding microphone, but it sounds okay. You've got some gain boost in there to combat the bad preamps in the T3i. It's a pretty robust mic, and it's really, really cheap. So I do use this a lot. That is the shotgun mic that I use most of the time, and you can use that with the Zoom recorder. But recently I picked up the Small Rig Forella L20 lavalier microphone, and this was about $12 on Small Rig's website. And this is what I've been using the most recently with the T3i, because this little lav mic is USB-C charging, and it has a low cut filter built in and a 10 decibel gain boost. But this little lav mic has a green light indicator for when it's on, so just watch that if you do pick up one of these Small Rig Forella L20 lav mic. And again, you can find that on their site, super cheap. But let's switch over to the T3i now. We're on an 80D at the moment, and you can see the difference in the footage. I'm using the same custom color profile, the same settings for both cameras, and you'll be able to see the difference between an 80D that costs about $350 and a Canon T3i that you can pick up for about $100 before I added all of this stuff to it. Okay, and then this is the Canon T3i with the Small Rig mic. Definitely not optimal lighting today. I'm kind of dealing with an overcast backlit situation, but still a really good image from the T3i. I'm using the same color profile that I made for my T3i for both cameras, so that's what the difference in the image looks like. We're at f1.8 on the Sigma lens, where with the 80D we were at about f5.6 for the entire time I was shooting with it. This microphone too doesn't work, the Small Rig little lavalier microphone, it doesn't work with Zoom recorders, so that is kind of a bummer with this. But I think with the T3i, with the bad preamps, the gain boost really helps out. So that's why I held on to this microphone. My other channel just hit 5K, and I have been using this camera or a T3i for a lot of my videos. So you can still use an old camera, still monetize, still make money on YouTube 2024. But that's going to be it for this video. I'll see you guys later.